Okay, we're all settled in. Good evening, everyone. My name is Neil Köksal. You can call me Neil when we talk later on. I'm very honored to be your MC this evening, and it's going to be a wonderful evening. Just quickly, a little bit about me for those of you who aren't familiar with who I am and what I do. I'm the host of CBC Toronto Weekends, so that's 6 o'clock on Saturdays, Sundays at 11 o'clock, and I'm a correspondent at CBC News as well. So this is my first night working with Maytree and this event, but I can already tell it's going to be a fantastic one. Just reading up on the folks who we're going to be honoring here tonight. So thank you all. It is a night that reminds us how crucial diversity, but also equally as important, the inclusion that comes as we incorporate diversity into our workplaces. How important both are, how necessary they are. You're going to meet incredible people with accomplishments having a real tangible impact on the GTA, Ontario's cities, and as you're going to find out later on tonight, it's going well beyond our borders as well. They are having a tangible impact on what is happening. It's not just an idea. Diversity can be a difficult concept for people to understand or implement sometimes. But what's so exciting about the people that we're honoring here tonight, the people in this room, they realize it's not a complicated concept. It should be second nature. And as a result of what's happening with Maytree and diversity, it's becoming more the norm, thankfully. So I'm thrilled to be your MC as we recognize and celebrate diversity, specifically at the highest levels. Diversity in governance, as I mentioned, shouldn't be a rare or complicated thing, certainly not in 2013. But thanks to diversity, the Greater Toronto Leadership Project, it is becoming less of a rarity and more the norm. Diversity's leadership project is changing the leadership landscape. It really is. And one of the people helping to make that happen, the woman helping to make that happen, is Ratna Omidvar. Ratna is the president of Maytree and diversity co-chair. Ratna's work doesn't end there. I'm going to read you a long list and it still won't do her justice. She also serves as a director of the Canadian Club of Toronto and Connect Legal. Add to that, she is chair of the board of directors of the Toronto Region Immigrant Employment Council, or TRIEC, as we affectionately call it. In 2006, Ratna was appointed to the Order of Ontario. In 2010, the Globe and Mail profiled her as its nation builder of the decade for citizenship. In 2011, she was made a member of the Order of Canada for her advocacy on behalf of immigrants and her devotion to reducing inequality. I've only just met her, but instantly, as soon as you meet her, you see what a doer she is, how she connects with people. And so it's not a surprise how successful Maytree and diversity have become. Within 2 minutes of meeting her, she had a new task for me to take on and a new task for someone else in the audience to take on. So it's really my pleasure to be here tonight and to welcome Ratna Omidvar.
Good evening, everybody. Now, someone else should be standing next to me, so I'm going to invoke his avatar. This is John Tory, my co-chair at Civic Action, and I'm going to beam him down from CFRB 1010, where he's hosting his talk show, because I know he wants to be here and wants to congratulate the winners and shake hands with everybody. So please, even as I speak, think of him standing next to me. He would join me in saying that boards of directors of organization, people who govern not-for-profit public agencies, people who govern, who are board members in the corporate world, are have an incredibly important role. They set strategic direction, they define policy, they have the power to create change and touch the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. So when we reached out this year to find those who were top of the heap in terms of diversity in governance, we were surprised and not surprised. Surprised because there were so many excellent applications. And even as we announced the winners, I want to say that everyone who applied in my books is a winner, because you are doing things right, and whatever you are doing needs to be validated and needs to be, we need to shine the light on all of you. And even though we are congratulating and giving awards to only 3 winners, there is a host of other organizations I want to recognize today as well. This year, we saw 2 very significant shifts through the applications. First, we saw that truly inclusive boards were going beyond inviting the physical representation of diversity. We saw that catalysts on the board were going deeper in their commitment to inclusion and making inclusion a feature, not just who's sitting around the table, but how are the policies of the organization being impacted by a new demographic? How are the HR systems changing? How is the outreach changing? And this is only a natural shift Because look at the Stats Canada data in the GTA. 46% of our GTA population is foreign-born. 47% is visible minority. The second noticeable shift, and this is noticeable, is that for the first time, each one of our winners is from the 905 area. And I think this is, again, only a natural progression given the demographic change in those areas. So Brampton, served by the William Osler health system, is 50.5% foreign-born and is home to 66% visible minorities. The city of Aurora is undergoing rapid change as well, as newcomers and second and third generation immigrants are establishing their families north of the city of Toronto. Aurora today has 26.4% foreign-born and 18% visible minorities. The city of Markham, I think they like to be called the town of Markham. The town of Markham is Canada's most diverse city. 46% of its population is foreign-born. And look at this, 72% is visible minority. So the board leadership of our winners, and I think I've told you where the winners are from, understand that by surrounding themselves with diversity, they can in fact and must in fact govern more effectively. This little program that we started a few years ago is a little idea, but in the meantime, we have more than 1,600 candidates on our roster. We have made more than 600 appointments to a range of big and small agencies throughout the GTA. And we are having an impact and an influence nationally and internationally. There are cities across Canada and cities in Europe that are working with us to replicate this program. And I hope many of you are encouraged by the ideas and achievements of our winners. And one of the reasons we highlight winners is because I believe very firmly if organization A can do this, so can B, so can C, so can D. You can adapt it, you can massage it, but the ideas often have very long legs that can travel. And to those organizations, and I don't believe they are in the room, but this is a good message to leave you with, to those organizations who say, thank you very much, everything's right, status quo serves us very well, I will invoke the words of a great Canadian hockey player, Wayne Gretzky, who said, I skate to where the puck is going to be, not where the puck is. Roughly translated into my speak, a winning organization will look ahead and not backwards. So right from the get-go, the province of Ontario has been a wonderful and dedicated supporter of this initiative. I simply cannot describe how far we have come with their support and encouragement. So I'm particularly delighted to introduce the Honourable Liz Sandals, Ontario Minister of Education, and the representative at Queen's Park for Guelph. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ratna, and I'm delighted to be here I guess it's now past afternoon, this evening, and to be able to join you at the award ceremony. And Ratna and Alan, you've got a tremendous team here at Maytree, and the work you do we very much admire, and thank you so much for that. And also to Civic Action, your partners on this project. So thank you to both of you for the work that you've done. And I'm delighted to be here this evening on behalf of my colleague, the Honourable Michael Coteau, who's Minister of Citizenship and Immigration, and he would have loved to be here too, but unfortunately he couldn't be with us tonight. Tonight we are recognizing, now I've got 4 in my notes here, 4 employers who stood up for diversity and stood out among their peers. And by doing so, those employers are helping change the face of leadership in the GTA. Ontario welcomes tens of thousands of newcomers each year. We have residents from over 200 countries speaking more than 250 languages. Almost half the population of the GTA is visible minority. Ratna has given us some of the specific numbers. I was interested in Aurora because that's where, getting close to where my parents grew up, and you can imagine that their recollection of that part of the world was very definitely totally exclusively white, and to hear how it's changed so much over the years. But we know that that's happening throughout Ontario, that communities throughout Ontario are becoming more and more diverse, so that the project that you've started here in Toronto is an important role model for the whole province, because we know that slowly but surely the face of leadership is changing to reflect those numbers throughout Ontario. Diversity is an important economic issue. As Alan and Ratna have expressed so clearly in the Globe and Mail just last month, they said companies that have embraced diversity connect better to their customers, employees, and suppliers who are themselves diverse. They connect better to overseas markets and pools of talent by contact with diaspora networks. They have created a human resource advantage by moving towards diversity within their own organizations. The Ontario government has the same goal for our province's schools. Equitable, inclusive education is central to creating a cohesive society and a strong economy that will secure Ontario's future prosperity. Our goal is to see every student succeed, and we're on that path. Last year, 83% of our high school students graduated. Our graduation rate is now 83%. That's up from 68% just 10 years ago. So a dramatic rise of 15 percentage points in just 10 years. These are students who are now in a better position to succeed in the global economy. And part of that is a program that we call Specialist High Skills Majors. It works with students to make sure that they can have programs that better meet their needs if their needs are not academic. One of the many ways in which we're thinking about how do we work with all the sectors of the student population and not just those for whom we originally tailored programs. One of the areas that we're going to be moving into is a focus on Aboriginal education and how do we help our Aboriginal learners to better achievement. A different sort of diversity, but again, part of the diverse population of Ontario. But as we're investing in our schools so that our children can succeed, we know that it's organizations like Maytree who promote equity and prosperity that help build the leaders of tomorrow. So tonight, we're celebrating the incredible achievements of Maytree for encouraging organizations to get ahead of the curve in embracing diversity at the highest levels. As we celebrate tonight's winners and also all the other applicants, Ratna, over the past year who have set the pace for others to follow in the diversity and governance here in the GTA. And as you've noted, for the first time in history, all of the award winners are actually from the GTA, which is only fitting given the increase in diversity that we see throughout the GTA. The new Ontario government of Premier Kathleen Wynne believes in both a fair society and a strong economy. Maximizing the potential of our immigrants and our diverse population is key to achieving both goals. We need to find new ways of engaging employers to embrace diversity, to increase the support we offer to newcomers to settle and succeed quickly, and to continue to support the Maytree Foundation as a champion of diversity here in the GTA. So once again, congratulations to everyone here, and in particular to Maytree and to Civic Action for the wonderful work that you're doing. Thank you.
I now want to introduce another great Canadian, Alan Broadbent. He is chairman and CEO of Havana Capital Corporation. He's also founder and chairman of the Maytree Foundation. Alan also co-founded and chairs the Caledon Institute of Social Policy, Tamarack, and Institute for Community Engagement and Diaspora Dialogues, which supports the creation and presentation of new writing that reflects the diversity of Canada. And I've already spoken to people in this crowd who've benefited from Diaspora Dialogues. These and other related organizations create and support civic engagement projects to strengthen the public discourse on civil society, including the Jane Jacobs Prize, which celebrates unsung heroes in the Toronto region, the Institute for Municipal Finance and Governance at the Munk Centre, University of Toronto, and Ideas That Matter, a public discourse initiative. Alan is also co-chair of Happy Planet Foods, director of Sustainalytics Holdings BV, a director of Invest Toronto, past chair of the Tides Canada Foundation, advisor to the Literary Review of Canada, I'm going to catch my breath, member of the Governor's Council of the Toronto Public Library Foundation, senior fellow of Massey College, and member of the governing board as well. Alan is a member of the Order of Canada and recipient of the Queen's Jubilee Medal. He's the author of the book Urban Nation and was awarded an honorary Doctor of Laws degree from Ryerson University in 2009. That list of accomplishments could easily have you wondering, what have I done with my life? But it could also inspire you to do as much as he is continuing to do. So Alan, welcome.
I'd like to join in welcoming everybody here. Very pleased to see you all, and I want to thank Minister Liz Sandals for being here and for her remarks and for the generous support that we've had for the Diversity Project from the Government of Ontario over the years. Both the Premier McGuinty, when he was in office, and Premier Wynne, now that she's in office, have been tremendous supporters of the values that underlie the work that Maitree and Civic Action do. And we've been tremendously appreciative of that, to find a government that's so aligned with those values. So thank you for that, and please take our thanks back to the Premier as well. I also extend my congratulations to the this year's award winners, who are really doing such good work in the communities and really setting such a fine example for everybody. The Diversity Project asks really one question, and that is, how can we accelerate the prosperity of the Toronto region by tapping the talent and expertise of all of its communities? Diversity addresses that talent, and Diversity on Board has been a key program to deliver results. Maitree has been thinking about the lack of diversity around the decision-making tables of nonprofit and public boards for some time. And in 2005, we developed an instrument we then called ABC GTA, which stands for Agencies, Boards, and Commissions in the Greater Toronto Area. And we started modestly with a roster of 100 candidates and a goal of matching 10% of them on boards by the end of the first year. Well, we learned early on that we could not rely just on our usual networks if we wanted to have a roster of diverse candidates who reflected the demographics at the GTA. We had to actively recruit and reach out through professional organizations, alumni groups, trade associations, immigrant networks, and public and corporate organizations who wished to work with us. 7 years later, after the start of ABC GTA, now known as Diversity on Board, we have over 1,500 trained candidates who are ready and willing or already serving on a wide range of nonprofit and public boards. We have over 600 organizations registered to seek board members. We provide training for candidates in key governance competencies, and that's a very unique approach that we've taken. And we've facilitated over 600 appointments on nonprofit and public sector agencies, boards, and commissions. And we've had a lot of support for this work along the way. Many organizations have worked with us: hospitals, colleges and universities, tribunals, public library and health boards, advisory committees and community-based organizations in everything from arts and culture to sports and recreation, the environment, and health. But the work of diversity is not yet done. Visible minorities are still underrepresented in governance positions and broadly in senior leadership roles in our region. We know this from the annual report card that Diversity publishes and from other research. However, we have many more stories of success and champions than we had when we first started. Diversity on Board set out to change the leadership landscape of public and community institutions, and I think we've been able to create that change. It's extremely encouraging to see, as demonstrated by this year's award winners, that the next step of the journey, inclusion, is happening. And we're also making, as Ratna mentioned, an impact across the nation and internationally. The program has been recognized with the United Nations Award for Intercultural Innovation, and only a few days ago was showcased as a major initiative of the first ever Diversity Day in Berlin, Germany. The program has started a new conversation in several European cities on the topic of migrants in leadership positions. Closer to home, Ottawa, London, Hamilton are poised to replicate the program in their cities. A key partner that has worked with us in supporting our replication efforts is the J.W. McConnell Family Foundation, one of the great organizations in Canada and one of Canada's key agents of change. And it's my pleasure now to introduce Dana Vocesano, the Senior Program Officer at the Foundation. Dana?
Good evening, Minister Stanox. Mesdames et Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, je suis très heureuse d'être ici parmi vous ce soir. I am very pleased to be with you here this evening to celebrate the award recipients and the successes of Diversity on Board, a program that enriches and strengthens organizations, agencies, and our communities. I am here this evening on behalf of the J.W. McConnell Family Foundation to formally announce a new partnership, a partnership between the McConnell Foundation and the Maitrey Foundation. Together, we are launching a multi-year initiative to support the spread of this little program, this very special program, Diversity on Board, beyond Toronto. We are going to help support the spread to other cities in Canada. As part of this collaboration between the two foundations, the McConnell Foundation will be providing seed funding to partners in other cities to enable them to start up and to establish programs similar to Diversity on Board. We are very excited about the future and the prospect of an evening just like this one, say in a year or two, in another city, in Calgary, but most probably Montreal, who has now announced that they will be starting a Diversity on Board program. We're located in Montreal, so we're very pleased that they're the first city. And I hope that you will be able to join us in an evening of celebration, either in person or online, for the next Diversity on Board award celebration in another city in Canada. Thank you.
So now the reason we're here, the awards, of course, so very exciting. So for each presentation, I'm going to ask last year's honorees, last year's winners, to come up to pass on the honors to this year's winners. So first, I'd like to call up Harry Mann, if you could come up. Harry is the president of the Peel CAS Board of Directors as we present the award to this year's winner in the public institution sector. So the Diversity in Governance Award for the public institution sector goes to William Osler Health System. So if you could.
Honored guests, on behalf of the Board of William Osler Health Systems, I am pleased to accept the Diversity in Governance Award. Indeed, I'd like to also congratulate all the recipients here tonight. Diversity is a part of the DNA of our board, of our health system. And we serve over 1.3 million individuals each year from one of the fastest growing areas in Canada, and that also represents one of the most diverse regions in Canada. Equity and inclusion principles represent the core of the operation of our board. It represents how we engage with our strategic plan and process. It represents how we engage in our consultation. It represents how we engage with our employees, as well as how we engage with our stakeholders and how we serve the public. I'd also like to make mention how we've gotten here. I believe it's important to also highlight that it's been a journey. In 2008, we established a very active process of actively recruiting individuals from the diverse communities that we serve. And what we're seeing today and what we've been seeing over the last little while are the results, are the fruits of that effort. And I believe, as was mentioned earlier, and that indeed what we've done, other organizations can also do. I also took the time to look over the principles of Métis diversity on board. And as I reflect over what we've done at the board and what we've done through the health system, it was really interesting to realize that we have actually taken a lot of the very same steps that you've recommended. So indeed, not only have you celebrated what we've done, you've also pointed somewhat of a beacon as to what other organizations can do. So tonight, I'd just like to thank you very much for providing us with this award and for recognizing diversity in Ontario, in Toronto. Thank you very much.
In the nonprofit category last year, the Redwood was the honored guest. So I want to bring up Nira Elgeta. She is on the Redwoods board. She's going to present the award in this category, and the award goes to Blue Hills Child and Family Center. Congratulations.
Well, I have a surprise for you. I didn't know I was supposed to give a little speech. So whatever I am going to say comes from the heart. And when I speak of Blue Hills, everything I say comes from the heart. They are the most, I get very sentimental when I talk about Blue Hills. I have never been to an organization as good, as dedicated as Blue Hills is. If some of you don't know anything about Blue Hills, please Google us, find about Blue Hills, come and visit us in Aurora. They have been in operation for about 44 years. About 10 years ago, if you came to their board meeting, everybody looked the same. Blue eyes, blonde hair, some of them maybe green eyes, little darker brown eyes, but they all looked the same to me anyway. Then guess what? I came along, looked a little different. Then others followed. Many others followed. And right now, we have people from Philippines, from Africa, from South Asia. We have somebody from Germany, it's from Italy, and we have really a United Nations there. But the good news is that we all get along, not like United Nations, a small United Nations, and we all complement each other. You know, when you, on a good day, we have such a good meeting. I have learned so much from other board members there. This is my last term with them, and I'll be leaving them soon. But with me, I will carry such great memories. I'll carry so many skills I've learned with them, and I will move on to another board. And they've been on their diversity journey for about 7, 8 years now. Their job is not finished yet. They will go on. Knowing Blue Hills, they will go on. They're already forming very good partnerships with other ethnic groups in the community. They are doing everything they can to end the stigma about children's mental health. They provide most facilities that they can for parents and the children. And on behalf of Blue Hills, it's great honor for me to receive this award today. Thank you very much.
So from one diverse city to another is what I would call this award. The winner in the local government categories award, the city of Markham.
Well, I want to say a warm welcome to everyone and thank you. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal, vanakkam, lehoma, ni hao, mabuhay, kalispero. I could go on all night actually with all. But this is the wonderful diversity that we have in the city of Markham, and I want to say a very special thank you to Ratna, to Alan, to Maitree, to Mitzi, the Civic Action, to Diverse City for this wonderful recognition. Maitree is an incredible organization that has really set the tone internationally for the way in which communities should feel, let everyone feel that they're part of the city, that they're the fabric of the community, that they have an important role to play no matter where you've come from in the world. And you know, we take it for granted a little bit in the city of Markham, I have to admit, at just how well diversity works. It works very well for us. And as the most diverse city in all of Canada, and once again, as you saw with Statistics Canada report that came out recently, we celebrate that diversity each and every day. And I'm very proud, and I'm glad that Sharon was up here, our Director of Human Resources, along with Cheryl from our Human Resources Department, because they've been an integral part of a commitment for the City of Markham with our diversity action plan called Everyone Welcome. And Ratna certainly was there when we launched that particular plan in 2010. We've done a lot working with TRIAC and mentoring engineers in our organization, provided certainly training to our leaders in the organization with regards to diversity and inclusion, training to our staff to ensure we're able to provide programs and services to people of all abilities, because for us, inclusivity not only means cultural inclusivity, but people of different abilities within our community, and make sure that they have access to the services. So I don't need to tell this group and this audience about the strength of diversity in our community. We're very pleased that when I took over as mayor in 2006, one of the first sessions we had was with Maitree and Ratna coming forward to participate in a way to engage the rest of the community to be part of our boards and advisory committees. And certainly every week in our community there's a celebration of some kind, and I do invite you to come up actually later in June in a couple of weeks to take part in Taste of Asia, which is the largest outdoor Asian festival in all of Canada. So I know, like many of you in this room, you see diversity as a strength, as we do in Markham, and by engaging people who've come from different parts of the world, taking the skills, the education, and the contributions that they can make, I really think we strengthen our community, our province, and our country. And as much as diversity is our strength, bringing them together in that capacity and unifying them, unity is really our future. So thank you for this wonderful award. Thank you for the great work that both organizations do, and continue to live, breathe, and celebrate the wonderful diversity that we have in this great country of Canada.
So to present our next award, it is my pleasure to introduce Willa Black. She's the Vice President, Corporate Affairs at Cisco, and she's going to be presenting the Corporate Award on behalf of the Canadian Board Diversity Council. I want to tell you a little bit about Willa. As Vice President of Corporate Affairs and CSR for Cisco, she's responsible for strategies designed to drive Cisco's external brand relevance and transformational impact across key constituencies. She sits on several boards, including the Board of Dignitas International, the Canadian Club, the Toronto Civic Action Steering Committee, the Evergreen Brickworks Advisory Board, the Board of Trustees for the Walter and Duncan Gordon Foundation, and she was a founding member of the Children's Book Bank in Regent Park. She's also a member of the Partnership Forum, launched in 2010 by the Ontario Ministry of Citizenship and Immigration, dedicated to enhancing the relationship between the Ontario government and the not-for-profit sector. She was also named one of Canada's top 25 Women of Influence for 2011. She's participated in many IT industry initiatives, including the Canadian E-Business Initiative, the Information Technology Association of Canada Ingenious Awards Steering Committee, and she's a frequent speaker at various industry and association events. She's an enthusiastic supporter of the Canadian Board Diversity Council, representing Pamela Jeffrey here this evening. So welcome, Will.
I always know my kids would wonder who the heck they're talking about every time someone reads my bio. Thank you very much. That was very generous. So we at Cisco actually hosted this event last year, but I think I like this place better. I think this is just great. And it's really so fantastic for me to see all these names up here, because Cisco was a very early supporter of the Diversity Initiative. We had a wonderful launch event with Ratna. We've also been early supporters of Civic Action and certainly the Canadian Board Diversity Council. And when I think about the extraordinary momentum that's been achieved over the past few years, it is enormously gratifying to know that we put our support in a place that really showed tremendous results. So thank you so much for coming. It is wonderful to see so many people here this evening because this is an important event. And I am so pleased on behalf of the Canadian Board Diversity Council to present BMO Financial Group with this year's Corporate Diversity Award. And I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of the impetus behind this award. One of the reasons that BMO was selected was because they describe diversity beyond the traditional definitions like industry experience or education or geography or age diversity. They've broadened it to include ethnicity, gender, and Aboriginal status. This expanded view on what diversity means is exactly what we are honoring here tonight. BMO understands that they need to tap talent from all sources, and the sources are there. Women's participation in the labor force has increased drastically over the last century. But representation of diverse candidates and women, in particular, on Canada's boards has progressed very slowly, and that gender gap is unacceptable. The Canadian Board Diversity Council's own research shows that among Fortune 500 companies, only 14.4% of corporate directors are women. Less than 5% are visible minorities, 2.7% were peoples with disabilities, and only 1.1% were Aboriginal people. This list is dismal in and of itself, but unfortunately there is more bad news. Canada has also slipped in its global standing for board-level diversity. According to GMI research, we have slipped from 6th place about 4 years ago to 11th place today. That's an alarm bell. That's a call to action. And companies like BMO are leading the way in taking action to fight this downward trend. And this should give us all hope for the future. And in fact, we're seeing greater efforts among industry leaders to promote the representation of diverse candidates on their boards. The federal government announced the formation of the Advisory Council for Promoting Women on Boards in April, with its recommendations expected this fall. The Ontario government reiterated its commitment to work with the Ontario Securities Commission to support, quote, broader gender diversity on the boards and in senior management of major businesses, not-for-profit firms, and other large organizations. So getting back to BMO, what truly sets them apart, and this is my favorite thing about their submission, is their leadership in adopting a formal written board diversity policy in May of 2012. They've committed to board compositions in which each gender comprises at least 1/3 of their independent directors. They've done an outstanding job in engaging external search firms to help identify director candidates and meet this goal. And those of us in business know that what gets measured gets done. So on behalf of Pamela Jeffrey, who I know is sorry to not be here this evening, and the Canadian Board Diversity Council, I want to applaud BMO Financial Group's board not only for putting the first stake in the ground around a formal policy around board composition, but also for conducting annual assessments to ensure that they meet their goals. These strategies are what lead us to more diverse and collaborative environments where each person can bring their unique talents and experience to the table, their very best. Diversity is everybody's business and should characterize all of our businesses and organizations. Canada needs it. It's a matter of leveraging the full scope of our talent coast to coast. It's good sense, it's good work, and it's good business. So congratulations once again to BMO Financial Group, who's represented ably here this evening by Simon Fish. We hope that others will follow in your path, and we congratulate you. So.
We at Bank of Montreal believe that we're leaders today because 20 years ago, our board of directors had the foresight to recognize and to embrace diversity as a strategic business priority. And that strategic business priority has manifested itself in the years since then in better performance, greater innovation, an engaged workforce, and in the vein of the minister referred to earlier this evening, greater competitive advantage. Our CEO, Bill Down, would be the first to say that our work is not yet done, but this award is certainly a great spur to the momentum that we have already, and we thank you very much.
So congratulations to all of our winners. I know it's cliche, but they really are inspiring when you can see what, change is not easy. Anyone who works in a business, big or small, knows. So to see the kind of change that you've all brought to where you work is quite remarkable. Just in closing, I wanted to say, certainly diversity is in the name. It's in the mission statement of why we're here and what Maitree does. But the other word that you've heard a few times tonight and that I will take away with me tonight, and I hope you do as well, is inclusion. When I was talking to Kathy Winter earlier, and I see you all nodding your heads, she said, we're moving away from just diversity, but also inclusion. And it was like a light bulb went off, and that's it. I love the fact that we're getting to that stage where it's now beyond this idea that maybe it's a favor to someone from a different background if they're allowed in a position on a board or in a higher level position at their job. It's not a favor. They are an asset, and it's clear that you all recognize how big an asset differing opinions, different backgrounds can be. So that's the kind of thing that gives me goosebumps and gets me excited about what's happening here. So thank you for letting me be a part of tonight. I'll teach you all a word in Turkish for those who don't know Turkish. In Turkish, thank you is teşekkür ederim. So teşekkür ederim for letting me be part of tonight. The people we've mentioned here, you'll find out more in your programs about them. If you're inspired to maybe bring more diversity to where you're working, you can go to diversitytoronto.ca for some more tips and tools and ideas. And now I want to ask Kathy Winter, who planted that inclusion idea in my mind, to wrap up tonight's event. Thanks so much, Kathy.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight and celebrating with us. Minister, we definitely appreciate you being here this evening. I have the privilege of leading the Diversity on Board program. It's a very unique but very rewarding job, and today's event demonstrates why. We've had support from many, many people and organizations. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our funders. The Ministry of Citizenship and Immigration, Ontario, the Ontario Trillium Foundation, the Toronto Community Foundation. And a big thank you to our partners at Diversity, the Greater Toronto Civic Action. Funding is great, but it takes people to effect change. So I'd like to thank everyone who has spread the word about Diversity on Board, soldiered on in the face of adversity and challenges, took the lead and took the risks, and done the heavy lifting. Because without you, there wouldn't be any celebration on how far we've come here tonight. But I also want to challenge you to do more. To take at least one copy of the Diversity on Board Governance Toolkit as you leave this evening. Give it to your friends, give it to your colleagues who are currently on boards. Discuss it at your board meetings. Encourage other organizations to sign up with Diversity on Board. Start the conversation. And if you're on a board, open the door to others who are standing behind you. Minister Sandals, thank you again. I also want to thank our colleagues at Maitree and Civic Action for their assistance, and in particular, the Diversity on Board team and Emily Knight, who's probably outside, who did all the logistical work and organizing with St. Andrews. And Marcus, Piali, and Ornav from our communications team, who did the stories, the media, the technical details, all made tonight such a great success. So thank you very much. And of course, to Alan Ratner for your leadership and your vision. And you keep pushing us to push the envelope even further, and you keep our work real and meaningful. So thank you. A great round of applause, please, for our MC, Neil. Who did such a fabulous job tonight. Thank you so much. Have a good, safe trip back.